everybody, this is John for MTG Nexus coming at you with a short deck tech with a Jeskai variant of Prowess featuring Clever Luminancer, Expressive Iteration, and Rip Apart in the sideboard as new Strixhaven cards. This particular list is from Aspiringspike stream on day 1 of Strixhaven, so exactly how good this deck is kind of remains to be seen. They are stretching the mana base for potentially a little bit more power. Definitely playing more creatures, so there is some issue of not having enough spells to trigger some of your stuff. But we'll get into that in a second. As a friendly reminder, if you do like modern content, especially of the red-based variety, whether it be Prowess or Burn, please consider subscribing to the channel, as we can be the most informative channel for modern on YouTube. So, what's this deck trying to leverage besides Clever Luminancer, Monastery Swift Spear? I guess there is no Soulscar Mage in this variant, which is interesting, but I guess makes some amount of sense, because otherwise you're stretching your creature base maybe a bit too thin. Basically, you're trying to leverage the Prowess shell with another more explosive creature without having the utility of Soulscar Mage. Beyond that, you know, you're playing Sprite Dragon and Stormwing Entity, both which have proven themselves in the Izzet shell. And you're playing Expressive Iteration, which, if you're playing this beyond turn 2, oftentimes becomes a draw 2. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. One goes in your hand, one goes in the bottom of your library, and exile one that you can play that given turn. It is a sorcery, which, if you'll know a lot of things, this and Rip Apart both mean we're playing a little bit less of an instant speed game, no ops and such, but we are playing a little bit more selection. Beyond that, you know, you have the full spread of 4 Lightning Bolt, 4 Lava Dart, 2 Gut Shot, 4 Mutagenic Growth, all of which similar to numbers we leveraged in the Boros shell that I managed to 5-0 with. Metamorphose, important spell holding this all together. And the mana something. So this is almost kind of like the old Naya, whatchamacallit, the 1 mana 3/3 from Wild Nacatl Burn. Your mana base, it's a mess. You've got 2 Fiery Islet, 2 Sunbaked Canyon as Canopy Land splits, 2 Basic Mountains, 2 copies of Steam Vents, 2 copies of Sacred Foundry. Only white card in the main deck, obviously Clever Luminancer. Blue cards in the deck, you have Iteration, Sprite Dragon, and Stormwing Entity. Very interesting deck overall in the main deck. See how it holds up. I think Spike said he went 7-3 with it overall. 3 copies of Chain to the Rocks as opposed to the normally played card like Path to Exile. I know Spike is a huge proponent of not giving your opponent extra lands, so interesting to see how this plays out, especially in the deck we're playing with Lava Dart. You know, in a Field of Ruin Ghost Quarter format, also a little bit risky. We'll see how that goes, especially, you know, I think my last match again with Boros was Death and Taxes. Certainly a deck can punish that. 3 copies of Spell Pierce for disrupting combo and control. 2 copies of Assault Strobe, filling a role something like Boros Charm would do while being less flexible but more mana efficient. 3 copies of Soul Guide Lantern for any type of graveyard shenanigans, which is entertaining because I don't think Graveyard's particularly well positioned, but we did play against 2 Dredge decks in our first league in this meta. And then finally 2 copies of Kozilek's Return. Because Tribal's a thing, Core Firewalker's a thing, gotta kill those creatures. So that said, let's get into some matches. Back for match number 1. We're going to play against the trophy leader from last season, or one of the co-trophy leaders. Curious to see what they're on. Looks like they're on a Luris deck. This hand is very underwhelming. Guess we keep it though, because Stormwing Entity isn't. Well, this hand's tricky, right? The 4 lands just make it really unkeepable. This hand isn't like super exciting, but it's alright, I guess. Okay. Seal of Fire, sure. Deal ourselves quite a bit of damage here. In some ways, I do think this deck's just trying to do too much. Okay, so we're just up against a variant of Burn. Most of the damage we've done to ourselves. All right. Scry. Probably interested in a bolt. Sure. Okay. So I can hit them for 6 next turn. 7 actually. So put us to dead to basically any spell in their deck, so I think we have to block, unfortunately. This is where our mana base is really going to come back to bite us. Well, I guess we shouldn't pass priority, but yep. Yep. So these could be of interest, these could be of interest, these could be of interest. Lava Dart and Gut Shot aren't particularly interesting in this matchup. Try it like that. The Gut Shot and Lava Dart literally don't kill anything on their own. This hand's fine, albeit not like super exciting. Let's try to stay alive. We'll just pass here with, well, we attack, but we pass without casting any spells. Our Chain of the Rocks get really awkward. Again, our mana base, super damaging in against a deck like Burn. There's one thing I can say about, like, yeah, that's a thing. Do this or we're dead. Yep. I mean, that's one thing I can definitely say about yesterday's matches. Now, keeping in mind the Boros matches were all recorded on one day. That, you know, we didn't really face any interactive decks. You know, we placed Dredge twice, Infect, Storm, and Death and Taxes. So, like, Death and Taxes I consider more of a tribal than than an interactive deck. And Burn, you know, as much as it has the reputation of being an aggro deck, is certainly an interactive deck. So you can see how, you know, the painful mana base and some other stuff we got picked apart a little bit. So, you know, we live, we learn, and we move on.